said so many times, this is the therapy. This is my therapy.
And my mind is like, oh, you're struggling. Okay, how do we fix it?
For anyone that's listening, what is an NFT? So on today's episode, we have Tej Singh, better known as Tej Talks. He's an Amazon bestseller. He's purchased 15 properties in under 9 months and he's raised over £850,000 in investor finance. He's got the most reviewed property podcast within the United Kingdom, reaching over 120 different countries. He speaks 4 different languages. He's got a bachelor's degree in science. But the most impressive thing about Tej is his no bullshit approach to life. Tej, welcome to the podcast. Tej, tell me, what do I need to know about you that's shaped you into how you are today?
Oh, there's so much, I'm sure. Upbringing, for sure, which is like everything. Parents divorced when I was, I don't know how old I was, but 2002. So quite a while ago. Definitely shaped who I am in ways that I don't know because I just don't. And my wife's a psychologist and therapist, so I'll leave it to her to find out the deep reasons why. But that definitely shaped me. My parents' individual personalities shaped me. The school I went to, the culture I'm from, the culture I was in, which is the same as where I'm from because of where I lived, has shaped me. The friends, TV, Xbox, which I still play. I played playing Call of Duty last night. I think there's quite a few things which have shaped me. And I was thinking about this last night because I had a feeling that you might ask something about this, and I didn't really get far with it. So
that's the whole point. We're gonna uncover.
Gonna kind of go into it. So yeah, a lot of things, but I think upbringing is probably the biggest thing in most people's life, right?
Yeah. So you say your parents divorced. That's not the part that fascinates me, but the part that fascinates me about yourself is the drive you have, because I've followed your journey, and the ambition you have to be persistent, and like the branding you have, and we'll touch on it the more we go into the podcast. Was there a part of you that wanted to prove one of your parents wrong?
No. And I've thought about this because every podcast I hear, a lot of people say, oh, I wanted to prove that childhood friend wrong, that cousin wrong, that auntie, my mum wrong for saying this. And you know what? There wasn't, because my dad, you could say he's a bit of a, I don't want to say hippie, but he kind of is. He's just like, do what you want. You having fun? Okay, crack on, mate. As long as you're happy and you're doing your thing, cool. My mum's a bit stricter. She's a head teacher, so that kind of comes through. But they never sort of were like, you shouldn't do this, or you can't do this, or they never said anything that to this day makes me say, look at me now, or look what I've done that you didn't think I could do. My mum was a bit more strict and a bit more like, okay, well, if you're going to do something, does it have an income? Does it have this? Does it have... And I'm like, yeah, of course. But I've never actually, and to be fair, I don't think I have anyone in life that I want to prove wrong or prove to, because, I don't know, I've never had someone kind of say something to me that was deep enough, that I cared enough about, like that person, that would make me want to prove them wrong. It's just, I think it works. That anger and that drive, I mean, look around us, it works. Like 90% of people have it, and there's so many successful business people and businesses. But there is something ego in that, and there is something shallow in that, and there is something that isn't going to last the test of time with that, I've got to prove you wrong. Like if we're in the gym and you're lifting more than me, I don't care because I'm not trying to get injured. But if I deep it for a second and say, I'm going to prove this guy wrong, I could lift more, and great. And that helps me in that moment. But after that time, I'm done. I'm not trying to, every time I go, oh, who's lifting more than me? No. So I think acutely, I might use that, right? Mm-hmm. But no one ever tells me you can't do anything. I've just never had someone, even on Instagram, when you get these weirdos following you, you know what it's like. Yep. Even if they said, I put something up the other day saying, what was your first impression of me? And someone was quite funny.
I see your replies to one of them.
And there's more to come that are like still quite rude. Some of my friends were quite rude as well. I was like, all right, thanks. And like even that, it doesn't bother me. I don't know, maybe because I'm such a person we can get into that people just don't say that to me.
What was your relationship like with your parents?
I would say, I can't remember when I was a child, like sub 5. can't really remember. I remember bits like, I don't know, going to school, nursery, whatever it was, but I don't really remember like things killing. Like, could be things being repressed, or it could just be I was really young and I don't remember shit. I don't know. I'm sure I'll find out at some point.
I'm the same. I don't remember past a certain age, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah. Because I mean, what would I remember? Like eating baby food and shitting, and then like it's kind of it's a bit of a like carnal. When you're a child, you don't really do things with high cognition. Yeah. So I think the relationship after the divorce was kind of confusing because I was so if they got divorced now, I'm an adult. Like I can process it, I understand it. There's discussions. But at that age, no matter what they say, you're always like, okay. Like, cool, what does that even mean? I don't know. And so that processing and that understanding probably led to a relationship with them which wasn't rude, it wasn't fractured, it was just not as close or as communicative or as parental from my sort of view as I maybe should have had or wanted to have. In the last 5-6 years, it's changed. It's a lot better. Like my dad's a photographer, videographer, so all this kind of setup he does for me. So that's kind of brought us closer. My mum, we love gardening, so we kind of share that in common. And I just think me maturing, to be honest, and maybe understanding myself better, allowed me to communicate better with them, which created a better relationship. But yeah, it was not where I'd want it to be when I was younger, but I only know that now.
And you touched on your school years. What was that like?
School, I was very angry. People don't believe me nowadays when I say, like, I used to have anger problems, which I find it quite surprising they don't believe me, given my sort of, I don't know, my bluntness, should we say. So I'm quite surprised. You angry? I'm like, can't you see hints of it? I don't know. Like, I don't know if they're just joking, but so I used to be quite angry, getting into fights, and I think that was maybe anger from the divorce coming out in some like way. That's all I can think of, because I didn't really have any other reason to be angry. Like, parents were not well off, but not well off. It was sort of middle class. It was fine. I didn't ask for much. If I needed something, it was there. If I didn't, it was fine. And so it was quite an angry, getting told off a lot, not having a lot of friends until probably sixth form. I don't know how old you are then, but that was when I actually had friends. We would have a laugh, play Call of Duty, go skateboarding, go shop, whatever you do when you're kind of young. So yeah, it was difficult for my parents to deal with. He's in trouble again. He's in trouble again. He's in detention. He's in detention.
Did you struggle to trust?
I don't even think I got to the point where I could even think about trust. Like, I think I was so cutting things off before they even got to that point that, like, I never thought, do I trust this guy? It was more like, we're not even there yet.
Yeah.
So now I struggle to trust, but I don't know if that's because of builders and solicitors and then project stuff. Like, I don't know if that's innate in me or if it's protective because of these idiots that I've had to deal with.
And again, you touched on the therapy. Has that helped?
Yeah, definitely. Because, like, as much as I think a lot of things can be therapy, like this could be this could be therapeutic for both of us.
I've said so many times, this is the therapy. This is my therapy.
Of course, yeah. Like, the gym is my therapy. You know, playing Call of Duty is my therapy. Like, people watching this might take that from it, but like actually having therapy with a qualified like psychologist, qualified, you know, whatever they are, I think it helps because they're a third person. It's not like me talking to my wife or my mum. They're like, they know me. This is a third person who is kind of blank almost and saying, judgment. Well, why did you do that? Or what made you do that? And then I think the silence where they just sort of wait for you to answer is important, and that space that's created and them asking the right questions, like in the podcast interview, right? You ask the right questions, you elicit certain answers and certain pathways, and they do that with your own like psyche and your own personality. And a lot of us, you know, there's a quote from a Stoic philosopher, I think, and I put on my Instagram, I think it says, you know, would you rule an empire, rule over yourself, right? Because the biggest empire and the biggest challenge and the thing that we can control the most is up here, is our mind. But we all want the fastest car, this, that, biggest business, this turnover. We don't actually understand ourselves. So I think therapy should be like, and I think it's becoming like that because of, you know, compared to 10 years ago, I can't talk about therapy. Are you broken? You know, just stick up, you know, man up and all that kind of stuff. I think it's something that we should do just like we may have a personal trainer, or I eat 5 fruit and veg a day. Well, why am I not, like, I floss my teeth? Why am I not flossing my mind? Why am I lifting weights but not challenging what's up here? So I think that has to change, and it is changing. But it helps massively. I recommend, if anyone, even if you're like, I'm happy, everything's good, it's still good to explore yourself and just do a couple sessions. You don't like it, stop.
And I think what you just touched on there is so important for everyone to recognise that you may be okay one day but not the next, and it's the tools that you can implement over time.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the tools that you took away from therapy?
So I think one of the biggest tools, and this, this has been talked about from the days of, like, I don't know, BC, from philosophers, from religions, from Buddhism, from everything, is like putting a gap between the stimuli and the response. So if you say something that's going to inflame me or could inflame me, in this Instagram generation, the instant generation we're in, my instant thing is, what are you saying? What are you talking to? When if I just go, so what did you mean by that? That is a totally different dynamic and leads to a totally different outcome. Now, I've done the first person multiple times. I still do. Yeah, because like I'm human, I still do. But putting that gap, whether it's a second, whether it's a breath, something, just gives both people time to reflect. Because you might think, in that silence, you might think, oh, did I say that wrongly? And I'm also thinking, how do I respond to this? Just that gap, which is so hard nowadays, especially on WhatsApp, where you can see people typing, you can see it's red. Like, all of this stuff is designed to fuck us up, basically, right? And to get the dopamine and serotonin flowing in the wrong way. Like, trees and fucking rabbits should give us dopamine, not like this social media. And so one of the biggest things was having that gap, because I would too quickly respond, too quickly want to just logical brain solve the issue. Oh, that's your emotion. How do we solve it? How do we solve it? Not, what does he mean by that? What's he feeling by that? And I think another one which is similar to that is breathing, like putting that breath in between there, but also just focusing on the breath. If I'm in a situation where I'm getting irate, I'm getting angry, or I think I'm about to go into a situation with someone I don't like, or a behavior or something I don't like, let me bring it back to my breath and focus on that and ignore the outside. And even just one deep breath I just took there sort of realigns you a bit. So the power of breath and the power of a gap, which, stem back thousands of years.
And do you recognise the triggers now?
Yes. I recognise them. Now, I may not recognise them as a sort of I may not say, you just said something there and that's annoying me, or that's going to annoy me. It might annoy me, and then I say, that's from that. Or that. So, I'm getting closer and closer to identifying it at the source, but it still definitely can have an impact before I really identify it.
So I think, this is, again, it's only my opinion, that no one will ever, well, certainly from my opinion, truly understand unless you've got a true understanding of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the triggers is not necessarily a bad thing, because you can always work on them, like what you were saying just then. And if you're consistently trying to work on yourself, you'll have a different trigger.
Yep.
And for someone like ourselves, that's a good thing, because you're going to then push and you're going to then develop more and more and more, and you're going to be better, which we're going to touch on.
100%.
So I don't think it's a bad thing. And me and my wife broke up. Well, we actually got divorced. And then our 8-year-old is now in therapy. I'm a great advocate for it, because she's got to understand that the reason we're not together, so on and so forth. And she's learning to, obviously she's very resistant to me and mum, taking a back step, she's taking a breath. And exactly what you just said, she's implementing tools, because you can't have one side, me, mum. She's got to speak to that third person. I think it's very important. And for people listening that don't understand the triggers, I would 100% get and seek advice. Go and speak to a professional.
I mean, it's very progressive of you to be doing that. Like, I think a lot of, 50% of marriages end in divorce. So there's a lot of kids, a lot of family who aren't in therapy who are going to be struggling. I'm not saying you need it.
No, you don't necessarily. You might have the wrong therapist.
Yep. There's a lot of them around.
So, I mean, what's your experience of that?
So I was very picky, and because my wife is a therapist, is a clinical psychologist, it was very kind of straightforward to run it past her and say, what do you think about this? I'm looking for this. What websites do I use? How do I find it? And you know what? There's a business out there for someone, because there's no like, you go and check a trade in My Builder. It's kind of like speed dating with builders. You go on it, you see the reviews, you see the there isn't really like a singular site like that for therapy. There's a few different ones, but there's nothing that actually makes it like seamless, which I'm kind of, I wonder why Headspace or someone like that hasn't made that. So actually finding a therapist was okay. But I think I just got quite fortunate, and I recommended him to a few people, actually. I think probably actually some guests you've had on the podcast, and they've worked with him and they've done really well by him. So I think my wife made it a lot easier. I'll have to give her a shout out on that one. Because without her, it would have been a bit more like, I don't know, what qualifications do you need? What experience,
Yeah.
It would have been trickier.
I think you have to be able to relate to the individual.
Yeah.
If you can't, again, it comes back to that trust element. If you can't trust that person to open up, and then it has to be you have to build that relationship up with that individual. It's obviously going to be a breakdown in communication, therefore you won't open up, and then there's sort of no point in going to therapy with that individual. Like, it's completely pointless. So there is that element of trust, and that won't happen overnight. Through my own experience of going to CBT, to art therapy, to when I was in probation, drug rehab, I'm like, well, there's four straight away. Yeah. They didn't work for me. Well, probation did, and art therapy did, because I was relaxed. But the others, I couldn't relate to them, even CBT. But when I was in art therapy, relaxed, breath work, chilled.
And I think that highlights like a theme in life. Like, people need to find what works for them, full stop. Like,
there's no right or wrong.
There's no right or wrong. Like, just because you're lifting weights doesn't mean that someone has to lift weights. Like, if you need to exercise, that's a fact. Go for a walk, go do something. Like, find what works for you. Don't look on Instagram and say, oh, these two are doing this. It's like, so what? Like, just do whatever works for you. And then just to add on to something you said earlier about like understanding yourself. Like, how can you understand others if you don't understand yourself? And I think it goes back to a Whitney Houston lyric or quote. Big up Whitney. I don't know if anyone's seen the film, but oh my God, what a woman. I didn't realize her career, like, incredible. I was tearing up at the end. Me and all the middle-aged women in this theatre were tearing up. She says the greatest love of all is the one I found within, right? And what she's basically saying is that, if you can't love yourself, if you don't love yourself, how are you going to love others? And I think that applies to kind of anything. And a lot of us need to learn to love ourselves. That doesn't mean you're cocky or you're arrogant, or you can be, do what you want. But like, it's more about, if we love ourselves and we're happy with who we are, we're going to be better at every single thing we do. People always say to me after public speaking events, oh my God, you're so good at public speaking. How do you get so good at it? And I literally say, because I don't give a shit what you think. And they're like, huh? I'm like, yeah, I don't give a shit what you think. Or anyone thinks. And then they get it. And I'm like, yeah, it's not about breath. It's not about look at you in the eyes. It's not about intonation and slowing down and speaking. It is a little bit. It's not about that. It's about your confidence. It's about, do you believe in yourself enough? Do you love yourself enough to get on stage, not give a shit what anyone thinks, and deliver? That is how you're a good public speaker. That's the secret. That's the life hack. That's the pay me 1997 for. That is the hack, right? And so just to add to your point there, like, a lot of, oh, how'd you do this, Tej? How'd you do that? It just starts with you not giving a shit and loving yourself.
That brings me nicely on to, I was going to go straight into property education then. But
Go on.
No, I'm going to ask about your wife, because you've touched on her. You went into therapy, didn't you, with your wife?
Did I? Yes, yeah.
I've done a little bit of research.
Yeah. Before, when was that? Like, I think quite a few months before marriage.
Was that a part of it due to the trust, or?
I think we both just said, we're getting married. This is a huge commitment. Maybe we're both a little bit immature in some regards, like with each other. And we want to make sure that once we're married, because it's a big obligation emotionally, mentally, physically, legally, we don't want these habits to push through to that. And it shouldn't take marriage to do that, right? Like, we should just be like, it's Monday, and on Friday I want us to be better than we were on Monday. But I think we just thought, this is big. We've been planning a wedding, which Indian wedding's huge, and it wasn't even a big one. That took so much. We were like, hold on a minute, this is like, we're planning this, but it's not a party, it's a marriage. So let's look at doing something that will just like get us talking on a different plane, perhaps. like with a third person, to just make it smoother and better and iron out issues that maybe we didn't know we had, or that we had, to put us in a better place, so that when we get married, it's like, it's not like marriage, perfect, but it's like marriage, cool, leave that shit there and let's move forward progressively. And it's helped massively. Like I say to friends and other people, like, you should do therapy alone, but also you should do it in a couple. Just do one session. And if it's shit, it doesn't work for you, go do art therapy, go do pottery together, you know? But it helped. Like, it was a while ago now, but it really helped.
And did you feel there was an added pressure due to what happened with your parents and the kind of the expectations that I suppose you put on yourself in a way?
You know what? My mind is so logical. I lack empathy, which people, I don't know if they know, maybe it comes across, I don't know.
Sympathy or empathy?
Empathy. Like, I can be sympathetic-ish, but like, if you say to me, I'm struggling with this, thing, I'll say, okay, how can we fix it? What's the steps? I don't care that my mind is like, oh, you're struggling. Okay, how do we fix it? It's not, oh, tell me about the struggle. Tell me about the... No. How do we fix it? What's the solution? I go straight to that. There's no emotional thing there, which I think is an issue in all relationships, not just personal, but in business relationships. How are we going to connect? How are you going to invest in me? How are we going to have a business together if, like, you don't think that I care, even though I do care? I just can't get it across to you. So because of that, I didn't even think about that. Like, my wife said it to me once. She basically asked the same question and said, do you, because of your parents? And I was like, oh, no, like, no, I just never thought about it, because my mind doesn't process that as an emotional burden or pressure. It processes that two people didn't get along and they split up. Just like I've said no to, I've lost friends, I've cut friends and they've cut me. It's just logical. I can't, it's so hard to get out of that logic.
So I say that as normal because that's what I do. Whereas if you ask my ex-wife, she'd go, that's not normal.
Yep.
I mean, there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
But that's, again, what I would do, and I have done and I continue to do. Because for me, that's the only way I know how to deal with it is you don't compute my way, so move out of my way. Yeah. You're not in my lane, move. Yep. I'm going forward, you're still stationary. It's very hard for me to articulate it, I suppose, with the same as you. If you can't, you're not part of the solution, move out of the way.
The same. Yeah. And it does cause, I mean, look, it's definitely beneficial. I think it helps us. But there's definitely elements where, even with like business relationships, I look at it and think, what, that was a moment there that I could have been empathetic. And this has only come now from years and years of like trying. Oh, I could have been empathetic there, or like, wait, that's like, I have to literally kind of think like, that's an emotional thing. Let me see if I can kind of process that and go, and it works, but it's not like some people who naturally are like, oh my God, boom, switched on, empathy, tilt their head, they're in it. It's hard.
It's very hard when it comes to children as well. That's one thing you have to kind of wrap your head around, and this is, again, only advice I would offer, is that when you do have kids, it's like okay, I do have to show a little bit more empathy now, because my first, who's now 8, I'm like, up. This is how we're rolling. My middle, I'm like, no, you're fine, yeah, just do what you want. And obviously now I've got another one, 3. I'm like, oh, what do I do now? It's like, I was tough. The middle one, do what you want. Third one, how are we going to roll out with this? There's again, no right or wrong, but there's no rule book, unfortunately.
I can imagine with kids, it's hard, like really hard, because you're affecting their whole life and their development in the small choices you make. So there's a lot to think about.
So let's talk about your property journey. Obviously, I'm going to get a load of stick if I don't. What was the hardest part of that for yourself? 15 properties in 9 months.
That was the hardest part. Like it was.
Was it like 400 miles away?
Yeah, 200 to 250 miles away, and it's not like, okay, I can do it now, fine. Yeah. But this was when I was learning, when I had like much less of an idea what I was doing. I didn't have any support apart from like my network and things like that. It was just incredibly stressful. I mean, you said, what's the most stressful part? if I had to narrow it down, it would be working with builders, which I think most property developers would say. You might have ones come on here and say, oh, I love working with builders, they're great. Liars, all of them. I'm telling you, unless they're a builder themselves, right? Like working with them at that distance, the trust that we kind of spoke about, shattered every single week. That was the hardest part. The solicitors, the brokers, you know, yeah, they ignore your emails but they're professional. They have professional bodies. It's very different dealing with professionals than it is with non-professionals, which I would class builders as in general, in terms of their behavior, in terms of legislation, in terms of laws, in terms of what they can get away with. So that was the hardest part. You know, finding the deals, raising the money because of the brand wasn't that difficult. But that refurb element, and it shocks me today when people are like, yeah, hey Tej, you know, I got 80 grand. I don't want to read any books or any podcasts. No, I don't care if it's free. I'm going to buy a house, find builders, do a 7-bed HMO on my first deal. And then, yeah, like be like you, property developer. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me know how it goes. 7 weeks later, they're on my free calls crying and I'm laughing at them. Like, this is the reality. Because I won't cry with you. I'll laugh at you and say, you're a dickhead, bruv. Why didn't you listen to me? So it really surprises me when people don't do the basic construction research, which is probably the element of property that's potentially the most publicly available, like YouTube, books, things like that, networking, because there's so much there. But to answer your question, doing refurbs, dealing with builders, and it being far away was just like, even when I think about it now, I get anxious thinking about it.
I want to touch on something that I probably should have done before, is that people think you may have just invested in property. You didn't. You built your brand up a long time before that, which didn't happen overnight. People now, like you've just said, I want to invest in property. How do I raise finance? There's so many questions that can spin off of that. Mm-hmm. But you built a brand, which you're well known for now, but that didn't happen overnight.
No, and it doesn't happen overnight. I think certain brands, certain people can happen pretty quickly, don't get me wrong. If I have 100 properties and I jump on Instagram and I've got tons of content, yeah, it will happen quicker. But, you know, if you look at people's brands who've blown up, it's never overnight. They've been hustling for 3 or 4 years, but then you're like, hey, who's this viral person, 10 million followers following them? Wow, they were quick. It's like, no, you just didn't see the kind of 7 years beforehand.
But your podcast, you was working at that all of the time. You was networking.
All the time.
Years ago.
Yeah.
You were talking.
Yeah, I mean, I started the podcast probably about, 4 or 5 months before I did a single viewing. And then 6-7 months before the first deal. And then people always say, oh, what do I talk about, Tej? You know, and there's so much to kind of go into in that social media element there. But the brand got me everything. It got me deals. It got me money. What else do you need in property? Deals and money. There's a lot of other little bits in between, but on the whole, you need deals or money. And it got me both. And it got me both not easily, but it got me both with a lot less work than I have to tell people you need to do. You know, I have mentees who are like, oh, I'm building a brand-ish. I'm like, okay, here's how much harder it's going to be. And then they experience it and I say, there we go. So building a brand is just a whole discussion in itself, but a lot of people and a lot of businesses don't do it. And then my sort of question I'll end it on is, well then, if you haven't got rich aunties and uncles and you haven't got a little book of contacts, where are you getting the money from?
That's a good question. And I think, well, it's just a post on Facebook. I found a property, I'm going to rate how much.
Yeah,
how much,
I mean, look, all the best with that.
It just doesn't, and you'll receive a message, can we JV? And you're just going to go, no.
Yeah, I don't even respond. I'm just like, okay, it's not my worst.
And like I said, I was watching and listening to your podcast years ago, and that's why it's hit over 120 countries, because it was consistent every single week. And I think that's why, in my opinion, it is blown up and to what it is now. But yeah, I think touching on from what you said there about builders, you're not one for shying away about your opinion, are you?
No, I think in this country we're all very like, oh, the food came cold. Oh, I won't say anything. I'll just eat it. What? I didn't pay £12.50 at Nando's to get cold chicken, did I? Like, oh, a delivery came and it was chipped on the table. Sorry, I paid 200 quid for the table. I didn't pay for a chip table, did I? You didn't give me a discount for that. There's an issue here. And there's an issue with like people not speaking up about things, which it's not like, we're making stuff up or we're whinging or we're saying, oh, you left it 1 centimeter to the left of my front door and I had to. No, we're saying there is an issue with this service or this product. So in my opinion, we should speak up about it. Companies need to know this because, if you had a business and you were serving cakes and you never got a single complaint, you'd be going home every day like, my cakes are wicked, great business, this is cool. And as your sales decline, what's going on? My cakes are great. Like, this is a great business. You have no idea how your business is actually running without feedback. So reviews and feedback are so important because I don't know if you do this, but whenever I go to a restaurant or a new place, I research TripAdvisor, Google reviews, everything, like to make sure that I'm getting good stuff. And so that community of reviews helps me pick. So for me, one is I'm contributing back to that because I take benefit from it. So I'm going to then give to it as well. Secondly, I just don't buy into this whole like, oh, just accept what you're given. If you gave me something for free and I was ungrateful about it or I whinged about it, that's a different story. Mm-hmm. But if I'm paying for now paying also means exchange of value, right? If we've agreed some sort of exchange of value, I'm still paying for it. And it comes incorrect. People need to know about it. People should also be warned, hey, if you work with this company, just be careful because I've had this experience. So yeah, I'm definitely not shy from giving my opinion. In restaurants, I'll do the same thing. If the food's crap and the manager comes over, hey guys, how was the food? All my friends, oh yeah, it was lovely. I'll say, oh shit. Like, literally, like, I'm like, no, what? Like, that's my opinion. Like, you know what I mean? And here's why. Like, I'll never just say it. I'll say, here's why. Because one, it allows us to improve. If someone says to me, Tej, your podcast shit, I say, tell me why then. If you just say that, you're irrelevant to me. You're a waste of oxygen. If you say, I think you could do this, I think sound could be changed there, I say, you know what? Cool. You may have said, oh, your podcast shit, but actually you gave me 3 points I can improve on. So I'm not worried about that. If people are like, oh, Tej, you're rude, you shouldn't say that, I don't really care. Simple as that. You're rude for not sharing your opinion. Like, why are you in a place? Why are you buying these things? Why are you friends with someone if you're not sharing their opinion about them? All my friends know what I think of them, good or bad. And I hope that they tell me the same thing.
No, I think it's so important. And yeah, I'll get your feedback at the end. What about the money that you've invested? Have you ever lost money?
Yeah, so I lost £6,500 on a flip. It's not much of a flip. And actually, I lost about £4,000 of it after I sold it. So I'd lost £3,000 on the thing. Just poorly managed by me. Forgot about it for a few weeks. Had so much going on. Like, what? People walked in and saw the bits and just it didn't sell. Obviously, then investor finance went on for even longer. I then sold it to someone and said, look, any issues, you got my warranty. I'll fix it. Like, it's fine. I'll fix it because he follows me on social media. So, of course, sell the house. Tej, this is happening, this is happening. Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. And I was like, look, at the end of the day, he doesn't deserve to lose that £6,000. I do, because really, really, when you pre it, it's my fault. Yes, it was the builder's fault, but it's my fault. Like, really, really, at the end of the line is me. I'm standing there. I'm driving the train. So I was happy to pay that. That was £6,500 lost. I think that's the only property deal I've lost money on. Stocks and shares, I haven't lost any money on because they're still in there. But it is now actually picking up, doing quite well. My pension's doing really well, actually. It's a SIP. I think it's a SIP. Crypto, yeah. Where's that gone? Knows.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. I think I've lost money. We don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about crypto. But there's who knows? I probably lost I don't know. I actually don't know, but I don't know, 5 or 10 grand probably on crypto. But hey, long-term baby, it's going to go back up. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fucking everything crossed
D,
me.
where's it going, mate?
Yeah, D.
We're going to blame you.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? But yeah, you know what? I've been quite fortunate. I hear podcasts, people say, I've lost 100 grand in business, lost this in business. I haven't. Does that mean that I won't in the future? Nope, I probably will. And that's fine because money's money and it's a vehicle and that's why I have a portfolio as well.
Again, a lot of people, they will try so hard not to lose the money that they don't get started.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that if you go into it like that, you're never going to fucking start in the first place. So I was guilty of that. I'm a bit scared of this deal. until I eventually took the plunge, and then eventually we made quite a lot of money on the first deal. Then the second deal was money in, money out. The third deal, it cost us 50 grand, but we eventually got the planning. So
Okay.
we the mistake we made was we was waiting for planning for nearly a year. We raised money, obviously investor finance at obviously quite a high rate, and we're thinking, do we tenant it or do we do what I do, which was SA? But at the time they rejected the planning, so I thought fucking just SA it straight away. But we didn't. We put a tenant in, so it didn't quite cover. So if you add it all up, it was about 50 grand. Didn't lose it, so we recovered it.
Fine.
But we could have made a lot more if we'd have said it. So you just take it as a learning and go into your next project. So for anyone listening, just fucking go ahead.
No, you never lose, you learn, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's only a loss, it's only a failure if you perceive it as that and if you don't learn from it. If you did that again and again,
Oh, no.
I'd say, listen, guys, this guy, man, what's he doing? But, but you know, you're learning from it. And
Yeah.
across the 3 projects, you're winning.
Well, that'll go into 6.
There we go then.
625 grand be worth over 1.2. So
But you're winning.
I'm not
in
putting
life.
any money, not putting any more money in. So
And that's
yeah.
kind of the beauty of property sometimes, is like, you don't put your own money in. If you get the refinance right or the resale right, it's magical. Every time I do a BRR, I just think, so what? My bank account hasn't changed. It's been a couple months. I had to manage some stuff. I had to do some stuff. And now I've got an asset for life where I've got 40 grand flip profit. And I still, after 17 projects, I'm still like, yeah, what is this? It's madness.
Yeah.
Like, it blows my mind still.
So for anyone listening, you've got your own education platform.
Mhm.
And what would you say the top 3 tips for getting started? I know one will be get your brand right. Get your brand right.
So getting started in property.
Yeah.
Get your brand right. Like you said, it's, you know, it is time consuming and it is almost like another full-time job. But then would you not file your accounts every year? Probably not. Would you, you know, not go and do viewings? I think you would. So why isn't branding, especially in 2023, why isn't branding another pillar of your business? Why isn't it marketing?
Especially now on social media.
Oh yeah, now we're like now look, and we could go back to say 30, 40 years, our parents, you know, when they bought houses for like 7 grand and so, flipping it, now they're like 700 grand. There is always opportunity and there's always threat. Now social media is both, I think, but for us as creators and as business people, massively, it's an opportunity right now. Don't get me wrong, it's hard. You look around you and say, oh, they've got so many followers, I'm starting from nothing, you know, and there's always these worries, which I get. They are rational. They are, they're not made up. They come off something real, and I get it. Actually, no, I don't get it because I don't have the empathy to get it. But like, I understand the reasoning and why you would feel that way. But if you don't have a brand, everything else gets a lot harder. You know, like I have some mentees who are like, Tej, I really don't want to make videos. I really don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it because I've seen what it does. I'm like, yes, this is what I want to hear. So get your brand right. Secondly is get educated. I'm not saying go spend 10 grand on me or anyone at all. I'm saying free stuff like this, right? Because just so people know, this isn't free for us. It's costs, whether it's the AV, the editing, the time, it costs. So it's free for you. So consume it. Then go to cheap stuff. Go on Amazon, 100 quid budget. Buy every single property book. There's some you shouldn't buy, but I don't want to get taken to court. So buy most of them, especially if they got yellow covers. And then 2 books. And then you can consider some paid education stuff like that. Don't rush into getting a mentor, because if you haven't got the education, you're going to be paying someone a lot of money to teach you the basic stuff that you can cover in education. A lot of people come to me, I want a mentor. I'm like, what experience or education do you have? None. I'm like, so you're going to pay me a lot of money to do what I can teach you in a course already for 1/10 of the price. People need to just make that distinction. And then thirdly is network. I got deals from network. I got money from network. I saved my mental health from my network. I have friends. I have people now who are investors in property, but the last time I spoke about property with them, fuck knows, we just partied together. Like it builds something social, and it also allows you to go into a space and be understood. I can't speak to my family and say, bloody builder did this. They'll say, oh, well, why don't you? I'm like, no, mum, that doesn't work. Just stop it. You don't get it. You know, I have to go to a room and you be like, oh, fucking, I'll be like, yeah, fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of social stuff, which I suppose, reaping the rewards of now and did beforehand, and mental benefits, and also business benefits. Who knows who your next investor or JV is?
I think what you just touched on there, the mental health benefits of it, of joining a community like yourself. I mean, I know you've got yours, I've got one. And you may have to pay to get in.
Yeah.
And I think you should.
Yeah.
But you've got to educate yourself, and you've got to get around the right people, because there's people within mine that don't have, or they can't talk to the friends they would normally go and sit around a table with at a pub, or their work friends, their colleagues. They've spoken to me about a certain situation, a deal they've got going through, but it's just consumed them so much, and they've just let off. They've vented off to me, they would have vented off to you, I know for a fact. I know, obviously, you went to Dubai, you've spoken with Dee about certain things. It's so important to be around the right people.
100%. Like it... and I've never struggled with this. Like, I've never had a sort of friends or community or network who have been like, oh, are you sure? Come to the pub on Friday. Don't like go to your network. I've never really had that, but I know a lot of people out there struggle with it because it's normal. 90% of your mates on Friday are going to the pub. It's normal. Oh, come on, no, you didn't come to... And you're like, oh no, I've got to get ahead. But oh yeah, go on, I'll have a drink. It becomes 7. Next thing you wake up in a ditch. Like, I've never done that. But I don't drink. But like, I know this story, and then it's a year, and then it's, oh hey guys, I want to get into property. I've been trying for a year. I'm like, you've been trying for a year? Sorry. Like, so there's, the people around you are going to affect... There's a quote by, what's his name? I think it's a Spanish philosopher who says, show me your closest 5 friends and I'll show you your future.
And I think that leads nicely on to... Obviously, we're part of the same group. You're looking at acquiring a business. What business is that?
So I first started off looking at MOT and car garages because I love cars. And it will complement quite nicely a potential YouTube idea and other business idea of fixing like broken supercars, which are videos that I watch online at the moment. But it's something I'd love to do. Maybe not hands-on. Like I think I like to keep my hands moisturized and not covered in grease. I have done a lot of mechanic work before, but I'm done with that for now. Mechanic owners are making too much money. So if you're one who's not making too much money, get in touch with me. Otherwise, the rest of you just, because, I've had offers sort of almost accepted. I've been in, but they just want too much, and they're honestly doing too well. My own mechanic, I can't fit you in for 3 weeks, mate. Oh, okay, cool. No worry. Like, ram-packed, which is good for them. I'm happy for them. And then I'm looking at like physio, osteo kind of health businesses because it interests me. I've had some injuries and I'm quite in, I suppose, that business from a scientific perspective because I study biochemistry as well, friends with physios. I am looking at, actually, to be fair, right now, I've expanded it massively. You name a business, I'm probably looking at it just because I'm not getting the success that I'm seeing in the group. And some of it's me because I've moved house. I haven't put the same work in, but I'm expanding not geographies because I'm just not driving far. Honestly, life for me is about like what I want it to be. And although I like my car and I like podcasts, So I'm keeping the same areas near me, but I'm expanding it to almost like any business type. Because for me, one, I am passionate about certain types of business, MOT, health, etc. I know that my other passion is social media and branding. You give me any business, engineering, making table legs, however weird and quirky it is, I will go to town on it on social media and I'll transform it just with what I know how to already do. So for me, that's the bit that if it's a passionate business, great, ticks every box. If it's not, it doesn't tick one box, but it ticks every other box with the social media. So, I'm open, but ideally cars, health or restaurants, because if I can't buy a restaurant business, I'm launching one later this year.
Oh, wow, really?
So hopefully I can buy one because commercial kitchen fit outs are expensive. I'd rather just, buy the lease. And again, I've had offers almost there, to be fair, but nothing.
You are quite
yet.
the event planner. You are quite the event planner.
Well, you know, what can I say? I've somehow been roped into the after party at the D's next event, which I don't know how I got myself into it, but yeah. So I like to party and I like to social network.
I think it's good, mate. Well, I'm going to be there, so we don't drink, so...
Yeah, just you and me having the most fun.
So we touched on social media and the importance of it now.
Mm-hmm.
However, it has got a darker side.
Yeah, of course.
So what is your opinion? And again, what are the benefits of being on it?
Mm-hmm.
And how has it impacted you in a negative way as well?
So the benefits, easy. Awareness, reach. You can build a business from it. You can make sales. You can get stock from it. Every element of a business you can do on social media, right? It's simple as that. You can find all sorts of commercial relationships from it. It's so good for that. And also gives you kind of transparency and visibility for free. I mean, I know the platforms are pushing to ads and stuff, but really, if I launch a moisturizing business, I can open Instagram right now and get started and get showing you things and get showing the world things that I couldn't. So it kind of democratizes it. It kind of makes things a bit easier than, I need to put an advert in a newspaper and all that kind of old school stuff. I think the dark side is the fact that these platforms, and if you speak to any engineer at any of these companies, it's just well known. I'm sure there's some BuzzFeed article about it. They are designed to fuck you up. They are designed to get the dopamine hit from you. They are designed to affect your biology. Now, if you were like trying to sit on my lap, I'd stop you, right? Good looking guy, but I'd stop you, right? Okay? Because that's not what I want. If you're like trying to push in the queue, I'm going to stop you. That's not what I want. If you're saying, Tej, can I have 7 hours of your time for free to tell me about property? I'm saying, fuck off. But if you want to fuck with my dopamine, I'm going to let you. What? Like, we protect everything so much, apart from these very, very important and addictive neurotransmitters and hormones in our body. And they know this, and they know we'll give into it, and they also know how easy it is for us to give into it. So there's a whole dark side about, and there was that Netflix funny documentary, social something, I can't remember.
Oh yeah, I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, and that was so good and funny, but also like, oh dear, really dark.
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of us who watched it kind of got that. We took the humor from it, but there was like this like person like who was the AI who was controlling what you see and like laughing at you and saying, oh, they've looked at that, do this, and you see it. Like, you know, I bought like a blazer the other day, and then I didn't complete the purchase. I went on Instagram. What comes up? Hey, you forgot the blazer. Yeah. As a paid ad, and I'm like, cool. I asked for that, and I definitely should have put cookies off. And so there's that side of like, it is actually messing with you, because we're getting to a stage, especially the younger generation. You might see this more like kids and like kids' friends, where it's just down here in the phone, waiting for that hit, waiting for that, you know, oh yeah, send it to me here. Like, let's not meet up. Let's just like talk on what. Like, I think it's taking us away from one, like touch, like actual human touch,
100%.
And then the physicality of seeing your eyes and seeing your face and being in your kind of personal energy sphere, let's call it. So I think it's damaging us. There are ways to control it. And, you know, they put all these things in like screen limiting and all that stuff. Who the hell turns it on? Do a poll, like minimal people. There are ways, but it's hard to fight your biology, isn't it? You know?
It is. One thing I have noticed since starting the community, people become very fucking lazy. Like, for example, well, they've been lazy anyway, unless you've got the natural ability to go and want to actually, like all these people say, I want to get started in property. Ask the question, why? They can't answer it. You don't actually want to get started in property, you just want the money. And that's not a reason to get started in property. But when it always comes down to actually working, they never want to get off their fucking arse. And they want to do the work. So you can't just, yes, you can do it from your phone, but the point I'm trying to make is you have to actually view properties, or you have to get someone to do it for you. Mm-hmm. But social media, whilst good for that, good for raising money, good for finding investors and working and growing a network, you still have to do the work. But when it comes down to it, people don't want to.
And that's another really good point about social media, and another negative, which is you and I can open our screens right now, go on any type of sector, fitness, whatever, we see the six-pack abs. Even if that person has literally said, read this, this has taken me 2 years of broccoli and chicken with no flavor on. You know, this bodybuilder diet. It's taken me all of this, gym 100 times. I've been injured this. You and I, as humans, we're going to read it and say, oh, cool. 6-pack. Why can't I have that in a week? He's got it right now. What? I want it now. Like, no matter what you say or I say, like, you know, in your community, I'm sure you say, look, guys, property's hard. It take me, 3 months to get the first SA, 4 months to get profit from it, blah, blah, blah. People, like, we just don't want to hear it. Like, we want to just say, oh, he's got a Bugatti. Oh, he's got this. Oh, I want that. No matter how much someone says it or shows it or how people have followed your journey, like, our minds and what our minds have become just do not compute. They just don't. They want that. They've got it now. Why can't I have it now? Oh, you did, Tej, you've read 400 legal packs, probably more. Okay, well, I'm going to go auction tomorrow and just buy some. Okay, cool, you do that. Like,
Mind it down the drain.
Yeah, like, you're really right there. There's something that makes people just want it now.
There's no delayed gratification. I think It's not necessarily an age thing, and I think it always comes back down to, one, running a business. People don't know how to do it.
Oh, no, it's not easy.
And they don't want to do it. There's no want or need, I think.
I think sometimes also, another discussion, but this country can make it easy to do nothing.
It is.
I've spoken to people who are like, when I speak to builders in particular, they say, Tej, look, my lads, they'll sit at home on benefits and earn X all day for doing nothing, playing Xbox all day.
Yep. Or
they'll come to work, put in a bloody hard graft, which I know it is, if you're a labourer or whatever, and they'll earn a little bit more. And I say, I'm playing Xbox. I'm not grafting. So what is everyone else going to do? We're going to do the same thing. We're going to sit on us.
Or they'll get paid for it and still claim.
Well, yeah, exactly. Even worse, right? Like, I think it can be too easy here to do. Now, look, I'm not saying that there's people who deserve like that or who need it for various reasons. That's totally different. But there are a bunch of people who are claiming it, and it's not. They don't actually have a reason for it. We see it all over the news, and that's all politics and stuff. But I just think, it can be easy to do nothing.
Excuses. I'm sure you've had a lot of them. How'd you do with them with lack of empathy? Oh, I've seen it on it. I've put back to you in the corner there.
I was going to say, just use your imagination. Look, when I take on mentees, I say to them, look, you've been following me on social media, yeah? Yes. How long for? Okay. So do you realize that there is no prisoners here? Like, if you haven't done something, I'm going to insult. Like, I'm not going to be nice about it. Like, there is no nice in this vocab if you're not doing what you say you're going to do. So it's the same thing. Like, if, a company says, oh, yeah, sorry, we didn't deliver on time. We, oh, yeah, our driver sort of, oh, yeah, shut up. Like, I have no empathy for it unless it's like a real thing, Not the typical builder thing. You see, what is, my auntie's mum's auntie's dog had a angina and I had to go vet in it because obviously she works. And I'm like, bruv. Like, if it's an actual reason, I get it after a pause. I don't get it straight away. That's just the truth. I have to say, okay, fine. Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. But otherwise, no, I just don't have it because, like, I don't want to make excuses to myself. And I don't want to be around people who make excuses. Now, there's obviously mitigating factors, circumstances like that. Look, I don't want to be, get a whole Molly May situation. Oh, he said this. But there are a lot of people who a lot of the time will make excuses. Now, look, some of it's not on purpose. Some of it's lack of knowledge, lack of network, lack of drive. Sometimes it's just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then you could argue, well, go find out. Basically, I investigate, and if I'm not happy with it, I'll just share my feelings. At the same time, if you said to me today, oh, Tej, I didn't hit my KPIs last week, I'm going to say, okay, because I don't know what your KPIs are. So unless it affects me and us, and it's in part of our relationship, part of something we're doing, it doesn't, like, if you're posting on your story, oh, guys, I woke up late because I'm lazy and then I'm not getting where I want to be. All right. Don't bother me. I'll do your thing. So I balance. I don't just comment on everyone's excuses, only if it's to do with us or me.
Then let's talk about the current financial situation we're in, the financial system as well, because crypto, NFTs, you've invested in them.
Hmm.
NFTs, you've made quite a bit of profit on that, haven't you?
Yes. I think my DGod is still actually worth, I don't know, like 15 grand, 20 grand. Someone said to me the other day, it was worth 30 at one point. And looking back, as we all say, I should have sold it. However, it's a free NFT because I basically rented it. It's an easy way of thinking about it, and made yield off it and made thousands of pounds off it. And I only bought it for like 600, and I converted some of it. So anyways, NFTs have done well. I've got a few others. I sold a few others for a good couple of grand profit. Crypto, I haven't looked at my thing for ages because there's just no point.
I don't want to look at it.
Yeah, there's just no point. I mean, if I want to be upset, I'll think of kittens dying. I'll leave the crypto to the side. There's just, it does me no good to do it. I'm not going to rebalance it. I'm not taking stuff out. When I invested in it, I knew, right, this money is gone. If I see it, if it triples, if it buys me a McLaren, cool. Otherwise, gone.
I'm thinking when I'm selling, it's got to get to that figure, and then I'm selling.
Yeah. We all think that. And it gets to the figure and we think, let me go a bit higher. Yeah, leave it in. And then we're like, drop 40% in one day. Okay. But no, unless there's because the tech was also quite a bit of interest to me. And I think housing on the blockchain, there's lots of stuff we can do with NFTs and blockchain. But it's just gone really quiet. And so I don't know, let's see how it plays out. If the tech picks up and there's actually a fundamental reason for it to kind of come back again, then I'll consider how I'm going with it. Because that's why I invested in it. It wasn't just, it's going up, let's chuck it in. I actually was like, you know what, the tech from this is interesting. I want to invest in that.
Again, because this is another thing that people would have followed you on, was your NFT journey.
Mm-hmm.
But you've done a lot of investigating prior to actually investing and going, just because everyone else is jumping on a bandwagon, I'm going to buy one. You didn't just do that.
No.
You completely documented your journey, and I remember you actually done a live. Was don't just buy it because I'm buying it. Because everyone was buying them at the time. I was like, that's not my thing at the moment. But you openly went, no, don't just buy it. Although I think you went on holiday for the profit from one, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it would have definitely paid for a holiday. Yeah. Probably paid for actually, the DGod would have almost covered the honeymoon from not from selling it, from the money I staked from it. So that's by selling it now, I think it's 15 grand now. Maybe I need to check with one of the guys, but yeah, it's pretty cool, huh?
So, for anyone that's listening, what is an NFT? Quick definition.
An NFT is a non-fungible token. I actually forgot the actual definition of it. Essentially, it's like having a contract, like a smart contract that can't be copied, can't be cloned necessarily. It's a unique digital stamp. So there could be your face 100 times, right? It's the same image, but every single one could be a different NFT. Or you could have green ears or like a tail or something. And each one would be its own independent entry into the digital ledger. So this is why it links to property, because every property, deeds and everything should be an NFT. It should be unhackable, on the blockchain, viewable, publicly. There's just so much that we need to do.
Oh, and Lamb
I'm
Ranch.
not doing it.
Lamb
They ain't doing it either. I got an email from them going digital 2023. I'm like, bruv, we've been digital for 20 years. Where have you been?
Dinosaurs. Oh my God.
Literally dinosaurs. And I have a friend who works there, and she tells me from the inside, I'm just like, they're like the only company or only government thing that accepts checks and coins. So sometimes you have to send in a 50p or a £1 because you have to give a consideration for a contract legally. And they specifically, explicitly say it has to be a coin and a check. I don't have a checkbook. I have Monzo. What is it? The check. Anyways, there's so much that needs to improve in the world, and technology wise, and property this is another reason why I'm not really that interested anymore in property, because it's I've been here how many years, we really haven't progressed that much. You got these fintech, these prop techs, which basically amalgamate data, and okay, great, but the core of it is so antiquated and so old English law. It's just vexes me, man. I just can't be bothered with it.
Are you obviously not looking at buying anymore, unless? Well,
I will buy for my sins. Oh, Lord save me. But it's going to be hands off. It's going to be, I'm going to buy it from my people, give it to Craig, to my builder, to deal with. I'm not going to visit it. My last project was a non-visitor. I only went because we did like a paid site day to show people the site, and it was an epic project. And then it's going to be sold, and that's it. Like, one of my goals is 100 grand of flip profit this year. Let's see. You know, I might have another month and just think, oh, forget it.
I've done nowhere near as many as you, and I'm thinking the same. Nowhere near. It's just too stressful. It really is.
You know what? It is. And I think learning to outsource certain elements, and this is where network comes in. I have a network where I know I can get the deal, secure it, I can fund it, I can get the refurb done with no questions, I'll just design the kitchen and bathroom, my fun bits, and even then I can outsource those. Selling it, I've got the agents for it, or I can sell it on Instagram, which I have sold property on Instagram before, and that's it. So I suppose for me, because I've done that many, that's the benefit, right? That I can actually say, yeah, shit, I've got to the point where finally I can kind of outsource everything and it will actually go okay.
I look at the same in business, because obviously I'm redundant from my businesses now, and I just think return on investment for a business, you put probably the same into property and then get less. Yeah. And it's so much harder.
Oh, so much harder. Like, the problems are just problems that we shouldn't have. Yeah. Like, I like problems, I like challenges. So if you give me that in a business, I'm all for it. But when it's in property, and this is where the excuses and the old thing comes into it, I just think, like, it's 2023, yeah? Like, people are flying on hoverboards and like going to the moon and all the, and going to like space, and we're doing all this shit, right? Yet we can't like get a transaction through in a week or two. We can't like plaster a wall properly.
You have to print it off and sign it. You can't send a DocuSign.
I need to sign something. Oh man, those documents that need printing, they just get ignored. I'm like, just flipping put my signature on it, man.
I wasn't even going to talk about solicitors, because I know you can.
You know, I love my solicitors, but yeah, they are an interesting breed. I like litigation solicitors though, because there's fighting, so that's quite fun. But other ones, yeah, no, conveyancing solicitors. Yeah.
Oh dear, no, we won't touch on them, because that's a different pod. That's a whole podcast.
Yeah, let's not touch on them, because it'll be a heavy touch.
What's the biggest thing you've been wrong about in the past 12 months?
Oh, so many things. That's a really good question, because there's so many small things, I suppose. Like, the biggest, I think. It's a tough question. This question means that I should reflect on this more and journal on this more, because I should know. I think the biggest thing I've been wrong about has probably been how much more property I could take, because I was meant to change into my new brand like last year at some point. But I just carried on because I was doing my house refurb. I had so much content ready to set. It was just, I didn't have the time to be launching. Didn't have the studio. Now I've got it set up in my house. You know, it just wasn't the right time. And I just really didn't enjoy it. And like, I haven't released a podcast for like 2 months. For me, that's mad. That's like taking a 6-year sabbatical. That's mad. And that's because I was wrong about like how much more I could talk about it and how much more I had to give about it. I think another thing I've been wrong about is, and this is maybe a bit niche, but like, is how easy it is to find stuff for free, or how much effort people put in. Because I thought, right, go on our profiles, click the LinkedIn thing, you got all the stuff there, go on YouTube, go on podcasts, got all this stuff for free. But the amount of people that message who don't seem to find it, or won't find it, or can't find it, makes me think a few things. One, you know, is my tech not set up right that people are finding things? Am I not like repeating myself enough? Because that's something I probably don't do enough of. Like, every week reminding people, look, I offer this, I offer this, I offer this. This is free. This is not like, I've been wrong about how much you have to post and repeat yourself to be seen. And then I've also maybe been wrong about people's entitlement to our time and our mind. Oh, hey, can I pick your brains? I've got this 75 unit development I need your help on. Can we just do a quick deal analysis? Red flag, red flag, red flag block. So, you know, like, there's a few bits I've been wrong about.
I'll show you my Instagram.
But it just makes me reflect inwards as well. More importantly, to say, I need to repeat myself more. I need to make things clearer. Is my website not clear? You know, it makes me be critical on myself, which is what we need.
And I think the important thing to realise is that a lot of people just can't be bothered to search themselves.
Yep.
They just cannot be bothered.
They expect you to do it for them.
Yeah. And it comes back to what we were saying earlier. They're just fucking lazy.
Or they're entitled. Like, people have this weird sense of like, oh, Tej, I'm looking for a specific podcast on this. Which one is it? I'm like, bro, I've got 250 of them. I don't fucking know. Like, use the search feature.
Just search. Just search. There's a keyword. Just use the keyword.
Literally, search engines are so powerful. And you're telling me you're not searching. Or they're like, oh, can you quickly just tell me this? And I'm like, have you looked on my page? Because I've got like a whole thing that says for beginners. Like, you know what? I get less of it now. I think because people just think I'm rude, which fine by me. I get less of the entitlement. I think because I've called it out. So this is a benefit you said earlier about like sharing my opinion, is that I just get less of the shit, because people say, if I message him, I'll be on his story. And I'm like, yeah, you might. Which literally is fine by me. I don't care. Because like entitlement is something that pisses me off in every level, right? Because there's so much, and we're all entitled. We all have privileges because of certain things, right? That's life. But when people like put it in your face and expect you to sort of do what they say or what they ask, it just irks me.
Why?
I think because, one, they don't I don't care about them not valuing it, but I think maybe I feel personally offended that my time is not valued, right? That I'm thinking, hold on a minute, I've spent how many hours putting all this free stuff out there? You haven't once bothered going to that. You think on top of that free stuff and that cost, I should give you something. I think, like, how does that make any sense? Like, what do you do to deserve that? Now, listen, if Beyonce DMs me and says, Tej, can I have an hour for free? Queen is getting an hour for free. You understand? You know what I mean? If Burna Boy messages, I'm flying out. But, most people, and I'm always happy to help, right? But it's when it's asked with a certain thing of entitlement, I don't like the connotation of they deserve it somehow, or that they're better than, or that, what I've put out there is not enough. So I think there's some themes around that, and I've seen privilege and entitlement culturally. I've seen it in genders. I mean, we all see it, genders and culture. And so it also, I think in my mind, triggers that knowledge or those, not necessarily experiences really, but more like third-party experiences. And it annoys me because they're related, right? Like, and I don't know if they are related in the person's head or not. I don't know if they're viewing it how I'm viewing it. So there's like a web of social things around it. It's not just that one bit of entitlement. It opens up a web of other things.
And then because you think they're entitled, or they think they're entitled, you struggle to then go and take that breath.
Yes. And that's why people think I'm rude, because I have been rude. I have been rude. And I will continue to be in certain cases. Like, I just can't help it.
But if you don't want them then people are surrounded by yourself, or you don't want them around you, is it rude? You're clear.
I think it would be considered rude, but I'm not fussed about it. Like, if someone came up to me, like a friend, and said, "Oh, Tej, I think you were rude when you said this," then that's different. That's okay. Shit, hold on. Let me introspect this. Let me hold on. What does that mean? Why? If someone randomly asks, and they'll be entitled to my time, and I'll say, "Mate, I've got all this stuff here." "Oh, I was just asking. Sorry, mate." "Oh, you're rude." I'm like, okay. Like, it doesn't bother me because I don't care about their opinion. That's why this thing about the first impressions, it makes me laugh, and I'm sort of giving kind of hopefully humorous responses because I just don't care. Like, if my mum responded, said, "Yeah, when you were born, I thought you were a dickhead," then I'd be like, oh, okay, there's an issue here. I'm a bit upset about that. But because it's like, or if like a friend puts something, then I might actually send them a WhatsApp. Actually, there is a friend who puts something. I'm gonna send you a WhatsApp and say, well, "What do you mean by that?" Like, tell me more about that. And so that goes down to what I said earlier about not caring and like just being unapologetically me and like whatever.
You also touched on obviously a couple of things there that you want to get done. You've not been as active as you would like to have been on your podcast. How do you balance the contentment with ambition?
Ooh, this is a good question. It's central to my new sort of brand. I think for me, it's a lot easier than our friends, right? And I think of Dee and Alfred, who I know you both know when I say this, because they are very much super ambitious. Like when I want to be motivated, or I'm like, Tej, come on, man, you're being late, you know. I go on their profile and I'm like, fuck's sake, all right, let me put my socks up.
Funny you said, yeah, go on.
It works, right? And me and Dee have had so many kind of conversations about, yeah, well, hold on a minute. Like, how do you balance this? And a lot of people always asking, you know, you got kids, how do you balance this, that, and the other? And I think he's probably sick of the question. And in Dubai, we were like speaking about this at a meal that was shit and that we actually kicked off about because it was so bad. He didn't kick off about it, obviously. You know what he's like. But me and his brother were like ready to like get arrested. Like it was, and this is like a 5-star restaurant, by the way, where the steaks cost like 300 quid. So it's like, fuck me, you're really not getting what you pay for. I won't at you. I've already done it on my stories. And so like this kind of thing about balancing that, I always ask people about it because a lot of people I know are like on the scale of a lot more ambitious than they are content.
Yep.
And for me, I'm a lot more about being content than I am ambitious. So like this morning, what work did I do? I did a few bits, blah, blah, blah. Monday, I normally bake bread on Monday morning, right? That gives you an indication of my level of, you know, am I a shark getting up Monday morning biting people? You've seen that like meme? No, I'm like kneading my dough and letting it prove. And like, for me, that contentment is a lot more important than that ambition, because I know when I'm 90 on my deathbed, I'm not going to look back and say, I should have bought that business, you know? I should have put that offer in. I'm going to say, did I spend time with my wife? Did I spend time with my kids? Did I spend time here talking to you? Did I discover myself? Did I go for a walk in nature when I need to go for a walk every day? Was I at the gym for 20 minutes longer because I just felt like it? Okay, cool. Oh, damn it. You know, is you know, are other people getting ahead and doing stuff in the time that I'm slacking? Yeah. You know, I saw a podcast with Reese Wabara from Manier d'Ivoire, and he was saying, if, like, when I'm not working, I know someone else is, and they're putting in what I'm not. I never think that. Like, I'm going to bed when I want to go to bed, chilled, and I'm waking up. I mean, I wake up early, but I'm never thinking, what is someone else doing? Or, obviously, I think, like, Tej, these are your goals. You want to hit them. You know, they're non-negotiable. Like, this is the ambition we have. But if I finish the year and I don't have 100 grand flip profit and I don't buy as many businesses, I'll look back and say, was I content? Did I have fun? Yeah. Like, I'll go out Friday night. I mean, I don't go out that much. I wish I could. It's more me just getting old. But I'd go out, and the next day, if I don't drink, so I'd be hungover with my sinuses. It's worse than alcohol hangovers. Honestly, you drinkers, you got it easy. Yeah? Try a sinus hangover. The whole day will be like, oh, wasted. I won't work. I know there's people in my network who are sitting there fucking hustling. I don't care, man. I'm happy. I had a great night. Like, that's good. If someone wants to, you know, go out for dinner, but I'm like, I've got this thing to do, I'll always sort of lean towards dinner. Because, look, I've got a property portfolio. I'm financially free. Don't have to work again in my life. Cool. Got the education stuff, brings the money. Cool. So there is this privilege that I have, that I've earned, that allows me to be carefree. But I think it's just my philosophy of like, what actually matters? Like, can I go for a walk in a forest? Can I go out with my friends? Can I, you know, drive where I need? Can I go yeah. Okay. My family healthy? Yeah. Like, that's it. So for me, I don't know. I'm just leaning more towards the contentment side because I'd rather have fun. Business is fun. I'd rather just have fun, you know? And
has naturally the money side of things, would have helped.
100%. If I was in a 9-to-5 and I wanted to get out of it and I didn't have any savings, would I be this carefree? No. But even when I was not necessarily been in that situation, because I've always saved, that's culturally a thing, just save. But like, I've always sort of had this view towards money, like for maybe at least in the past 6-7 years, when I sort of became an adult-ish, although who knows, I'm probably still not an adult. Like, I've always had this thing about, this is a vehicle. Can it get me from A to B? Yes. Do I want to fly business class? Yeah. Do I value it though? I don't know. Emirates to Dubai normal class is actually sick. Like, the food is sick. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to spend this time. Fine. If I had 3 more businesses, could I fly business class every time and not even think about it? 100%. just don't really care. It just doesn't make me happy, you know? Can I play Xbox all day Sunday, yeah? Get freaking square eyes by the end of it, and on Monday still have a business, still make money, still be financially free, and still come here with you and spend 2 hours here, an hour in the car, an hour back, and there's like a Turkish bakery on the way I need to pop into because like, I've heard it's really good. Like, could I do that if I was like on that level of ambition? No. So I am ambitious, and people have seen that, like 15 properties in 9 months. But I'm just like, life happens, and I want to live it and be in the moment, and I know what I enjoy, you know?
Where's your happy place?
Ooh. Italy. Now, Italy is obviously a place, but really my happy place should be and has to be up here. Because, you know, there's that saying, you know, people always, oh, I'm going to go Ibiza for a week, I'll come back a different man, you know, I'm going to go on holiday and then I'll just clear my mind. It's like, because there's a really nice quote. I think it's, wherever you go, there you are. Right?
So you're free in Italy?
I would say so. But I should be free here. And which I am to an extent.
Why should you?
Because in Italy, I'm the same person. It's like where you go, there you are. So when I'm there, it's me, my brain, in a different place. And I know our environment, of course, changes us, right? Yeah. You put me in, you know, a burger place right now, the smile's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
You put me in some rubbish. Like, so, but I think really deeply as a philosophy of life, we shouldn't need that external thing to put us in a place. It shouldn't be, oh, let me buy that handbag to feel better. It shouldn't be, let me book a flight to feel better. It's like, I should feel better.
Is that an expectation that's put on us or portrayed on us? And
I don't think so.
No?
I think the expectation is you go abroad, live your life, be happy, come back and change person. I don't think the expectation is to be free in your mind. Because, like, what do people say? Oh, I need a holiday. Okay, take one then. It's up here. Like, and I get we're sort of talking about philosophy here, which we could argue about for days. Well, hold on a minute, we're humans, we need the sun, we need a different... There are biological and psychosocial factors there. But, you know, if we were to be the ultimate philosopher, the holiday's up here, the break is up here. And that's why I'm sort of on that side of contentment. Because I don't want to be like, oh, hustle, hustle, hustle. Holiday, oh, chilled, relaxed. I want to be chilled, relaxed all the time. Like, I want to have that vibe wherever and whenever I can. So, but yeah, I don't think it's put on us. I think it's put on us that we should go away, do our thing, come back, and we're a new person.
What about accomplishment? What makes you feel accomplished?
You know what? Daily, it's as simple as doing my to-do list and hearing the bing noise that it makes. That's like dopamine. They're smart because you're like, oh yes. Or like doing a Pomodoro timer and being like, oh, flipping heck, 25 minutes, I'll smash that. Like the little things.
You're mad, man. I'll do 15.
15? Fair enough. You're probably working harder.
No, not at all.
But it's also, you know what, for me, I'm very, I don't know, maybe it's logical. I'm very like, if I've got to clean a floor, like this floor has squares on it. Let's say there's 24 squares. If I've done 6, that's an achievement. Like just doing 6 out of 24. Okay, cool. What's next? 12 out of 20. For me, like numerically, logically tracking things gives me such a like sense of accomplishment. So, you know, if I've made 40 calls in one day, I'm like, flipping heck. Like, so I don't know what it is. It's like you give me any task, like painting a wall. If I've painted 40% of it, I'm like, yeah, you know, we're there. We're getting there. That's, I need to do 100% today. I'm happy with that. So for me, accomplishment is hitting what I know I can achieve, but also going beyond possibly what I know I can achieve. Of course, buying a new property, finally securing a business, getting something approved, you know, getting a good amount of views or likes on a bit of content, not for the validation, but for the, actually no, for the validation of the content, i.e. that's good content. That's doing well. That's going to lead to more opportunities, whatever. That gives me that sense of accomplishment. I think also, like, knowing that I've tried to be a good person on that day, or that I've treated someone well, or that I've given value to someone or something, or to my Instagram story or something like that. Like, there's a lot of things that give me a sense of accomplishment. But I'm an entrepreneur. So, you know, it's always and this is that question, there's always that, yeah, but I can do more. But, you know, I can do better.
Something that I want to touch on within your grid, your whole documentation on your profile that you haven't held back on is your mental health.
Yeah.
That you've struggled with and you still battle with today. IBS being part of that.
Yeah, big time, yeah.
You've recently touched on that with your own home.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something you're open to talking about?
Yeah.
So, yeah, tell me about your mental health journey.
Yeah, so you know what? For the start of property, it was okay. It was quite lonely. And I think that's something a lot of us feel, and which is why I touched on network earlier, because even if you have a network and they're close and this, that, and the other, I think maybe for us, because we're quite logical, and that maybe we lack, I'm speaking for myself and I suppose, lack that emotional connection because I'm so logical, it can make you feel lonely, especially because, well, you are the CEO. I'm talking to the broker, I'm talking to the accountant, I'm talking to the solicitor, I'm talking to the builder. It's all on me, and those decisions are on me. If you're my investor, I've got you on me as well. Now, my investors have never had any issue, never been on my shoulder, ever. Like, they're amazing, right? I'm so grateful for that. But I don't care. Me, I'm still like, I got to pay him back. It doesn't keep me up at night, nothing like that, but it's there, right? And I'm also like, I got to maximize profit. I want to pay him back in 6 months, not 9. Like, that's a big chunk of profit. So there's that which can make you feel lonely because you're like dealing with all these things and it's just me dealing with it. And I'm in the center of this huge web where a lot of people are relying on me. Now, I can't even imagine if I had a business with staff, that would be 10x because I'm like, your kid is relying on me. Your mum who's ill is relying. Like, there's another level to it. And I think as property progressed, I definitely had like a breakdown, like just lying on the bed crying because I think I had 5 refurbs on at one point. And that in itself is enough to fucking make me have a breakdown just thinking of that. But the fact that things were going wrong on every single one, I was still new to this. It's not like now where I could be like, that's the issue, here's how we fix it. Next. It was like, what do I actually do? Now I know the answer. Like, what do I do? I didn't have a mentor because I was being cheap. I should have. Like 15 in 9 months, it could have been 20 in 9 months if I had a mentor. So that kind of breakdown really, really, it affected me, but it also reset me because it got out the tension of all this for like months and months, and allowed me to step back and say, right, what have I been doing wrong? Where have I gone wrong? Where's my project management software? You ain't got one, idiot. Set it up. You know, where's my contract with that builder? Because I'm about to have to sue them. Okay, let's do it. It just made me get rid of the tension, you know, like we've been holding in pee for a long time and just let it out and you come back, you're fresh. Just let me do that fresh. And then with my own home, like which I'm pretty much finished now, I wasn't living in it. We just couldn't do that. We just said, no, we're going to pay rent. Yep, it's going to be, you know, tougher, but we're just not living. I just can't. Hygienically, it just makes me feel weird. I can't do that. And I know what a building site is like. A lot of people who are like, yeah, we're, you know, doing up our own home, we're about to live in it. They haven't got a clue what it's like. They're not property developers. They're just people. And they get in it and say, never again. I'm not even going to get to that stage. But having to like do it trade by trade to save on budget, you know, me being the laborer, like my computer stopped recognizing my fingerprint because it got sanded off that much. Like if I could have committed some crimes and no one would know because no matter how much moisturizer I put on, it was gone. And so dealing with that was insanely stressful because it was just me. I'm managing these trades, old houses, shit is going wrong everywhere. I'm on site, which for me is even more stressful because if I'm further away, I'm a bit disconnected, but nope, it's 20 minutes away. I couldn't do any work because I was focused on it. I tend to sleep really well, no issues. I hit the pillow, I'm gone. Wasn't the case during this time. My IBS flared up massively, which I learned is a stress trigger, which is very common during that period. You know, I was on the tools as well and then trying to run my business, which is, a lot of it is passive, but there's still things like my roof on my SA. I forgot about it for like 3 weeks. That's a lot of income, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then now it's, you know, it's being done now. And it's like, fuck's sake. So like for me, it's been stressful. And there's a lot of like, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist and it's my own home, the combination is deadly because I'm like I walked in the kitchen sockets and I said, that's not level, bro. That's not level. He goes, I did it by eye. I said, fuck your eyes. I said, put a spirit level on it. And he goes, I said, put a spirit level on it. So I went and got my own, put it on. I said, it's out. And he fixed it. And he comes back and goes, he said to the boss, Tej, for my socket, there was 2 mil out of being level as soon as he walked in. And I was like, yeah, it's a problem. Like, why am I seeing this? Stop seeing this. And having to do that with trades who are messy, who are disrespectful in their messiness, for something I care about, where there's no negotiation. If you tell me in a refurb, oh, Tej, we couldn't do that because of this, you have to choose something else, I'm like, all right, here we go. At my house, I'm like, nah, we're going to find a solution. Like, I'm just like, no, I don't accept that. What's the solution? That level of stress, it was a lot. And I didn't have a breakdown, but I was definitely close multiple times because I didn't even have an outlet. I'd come back late from the site at night time. There was just no time for me to shoot people on Call of Duty. There was no time for me to like play FIFA. And there was no time for me to even, like, I'm trying to make, and this is like decision fatigue. I'm deciding the taps. I'm deciding this. I'm on site. I'm being told this can't be done. I'm having to get to, it's an overload, and your own home is a different level. So I've done 16 projects before this. This was nuts. Like, it was, I still haven't really sat there and like celebrated the house, like it, because there's so many little things, but it's incredible to think about what's been achieved and the standard it's been achieved at and how it's been done. But yeah, refurb anxiety is like, we should have therapists specifically for this, right? Ex-builders who understand, yeah, it's another level.
So how did you cope with it?
Lots of cocaine. It wasn't filler dust on my body. It was lots of coke. Nah, I don't know. I didn't eat properly because I'm the kind of person when I'm doing physical tasks, it's really, and my builders are like this as well. I just don't eat. I get up, I'm like, oh, task, paintbrush, paint. I don't stop till 7. Then I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry. And then my stomach's hurting because I have IBS. And it's so I don't think I coped. I think Instagram, which is a form of therapy, when you're like talking to people, helped me be like, oh, I just had to be strong enough to deal with it. You know, like I just had to think, look, this is happening. And logically, if that doesn't happen, you know, am I going to die? No. Is anyone going to die? No. Okay, we'll deal with that way. Just logically process it. But the answer's I probably didn't cope. And in a week or something, you might, you know, I don't know, who knows? Might be lying on my back in fetal position crying. Like.
there is potentially a danger there.
Yeah.
Because you was running at 100 miles an hour. Have you ever suffered from anxiety?
You know what? I public speak in front of thousands of people, hundreds of people. I've danced. I used to be a professional dancer, semi-professional dancer in front of thousands of people at Wembley. No anxiety. Public speaking, doesn't give me anxiety. It gives me the opposite. It fucking gets me. I love it. I get anxious when builders call me before 9 a.m. Like, this is what I mean about this is a niche aspect of mental health, because there's no good reason you're calling me before 9. We haven't got the material. Something's wrong on site. There's no reason for you to call me before 9. There's just not. And so I genuinely have a fear. Like when a refurb is on, I get up earlier. I don't sleep as well. And this is why I'm not fucking with that sort of refurb anymore. Because I literally am like, oh God, literally. And like when I get up, I don't look at my phone. I want to do my stuff, blah, blah. And then I look at it. But I can't with a refurb because I know there could be something there. And a lot of the times there has been. It's not like I've been proven right. It's not irrational. I've seen the issues. Mm. So I definitely get like anxious about that. I have refurb anxiety. If I have to do it again and do it at that level, there's going to be refurb anxiety. Other than that, no. Like, it's literally refurbs. Like, refurbs are my like kryptonite. They just destroy me. I don't get anxious. I'm trying to think networking events. Nah, not really. Yeah, I don't really get anxious generally.
No, not a lot of people do. No. And I think if you're confident in what you do, but then again, some people don't know that they're anxious.
Yeah. And I could be. And that could be the IBS. I don't know.
It could be. Being better. What does that mean to you?
So it means a few things. The first thing is being. And that's what you said earlier about like that contentment. So the first thing is being. So being present, being content, but also being a human being. And then being better is kind of the opposite of that, because it's, well, that being, that presentness, why do we need to be better? And what does it mean to be better than what we are in the present? So for me, I've thought for a long time about that question you said about how do you balance the ambition with being content? How do you balance the gratitude with wanting more? How do you balance these worldly possessions and the shallowness and, I like nice cars, with being a good person who's not distracted by these shiny things? Like, how do you balance both of these? And so Tej Talks is changing, or it's changed to Tej Talks being better, because I want to explore that question, almost like it's a hypothesis, almost like it's my PhD thesis. Like, I want to explore the balance between the both, how we shift between the two of them, but also how people who are on sort of either spectrum of super ambitious, super content, like, how does that work in their life, and how do they find happiness and success and fulfillment and being accomplished in that balance? And so it stretches from health, fitness, business people, mindset. Like, the people who are going to be on my podcast now are like totally diverse, totally different. The conversations are totally different. We are still talking about investing, because surely if I've got 10 grand in the bank, I want 12, right? Because it's better for me. How do you do that? You invest, you buy businesses, you start businesses. So it's all still entrepreneurial in that respect. And that's where the better comes in, because if you're being present, there's a risk of being comfortable, which means your business isn't going to do that well necessarily. But then I could argue, well, actually, a comfortable business is a good one, because you go home every night, you sleep, you chill, spend time with your family, and you're making enough money and you carry on. Why do we need these memes saying, don't be comfort with but what if it's okay and I've got other more important shit that makes me happy? I want to, so there's so much like contradictory stuff out there. And I kind of want to show people that you can be an absolute ambitious flipping hustler and go crazy. Cool. But you can also be the opposite, or you can be the middle, or you can be either or neither, or, so for me, it's that balance and that question and delving into that and exploring it with different minds and different people.
And this is obviously called The Next Level. Exactly what you're doing. We're helping people go to the next level in, whether it be mindset, health, well-being, fitness, whatever that may be within their property journey. I don't think there's a wrong way of doing what you're doing, whether it is in investing or, again, their mindset. But they've got to take their journey to the next level. But you can't, again, if they've got a business, for example, you won't know what that next level is for them. And you can't push them. You can only push them so far, For example, D could potentially take them further than what me and you could, because he's got more experience in that industry. But I think it's so powerful what you were saying about your network. You've got such a powerful network, as have I, as is D. But I say D because we both know him. There's levels. That's why I love that the name. But being better at going to the next level, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Being comfortable and complacent, there's often complacency that comes with being comfortable.
Yeah.
But I think being better is a good way to be.
I agree.
Tej, thank you very much, mate. I always end the podcast on the same question. How are you doing?
Ooh, that's like an opening question at the end. I like that. It's different. I am good. I just came from the gym, so hungry, but in general, I'm relieved. I'm relieved that the refurb for my house is done and I can now enjoy it. And my studio's pretty much, give or take the Tej Talks sign that's coming, is basically there. I am pretty content that I now have a kitchen that I love and I can just carry on cooking and just being creative in that regard. I'm also pretty happy that the refurb is done and I can get back to M&A. I can get back to trying to buy businesses. And also I'm looking forward to quite a few networking events that are coming up and social events, because I just love doing that. So I'd say I'm pretty good. I can't think of anything that is sort of nagging at me or bothering me, or, I'm trying to think deeply about this. But yeah, I'm good.
Perfect, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it, mate.